not only because the vicar, who was undoubtedly the most handsome man in the county, was seeing her in such a vulnerable state, but also because he'd likely think this was some sort of ruse to get him to notice her. Not that he was vain, quite the opposite, but the unmarried young ladies of Little Seaford had all but turned vicar hunting into a sport. Why should he think she'd be any different? But Lord Benedick didn't seem to be overly concerned about his hide, for he gave a grim nod.
"I'm just going to feel for broken bones, Miss Hastings," he assured her solemnly. "Let me know if something pains you."
Moving back so that he could get to her foot, which was bare but for her stockings, he very carefully slipped his large hand beneath her heel and lifted it. Sophia bit her lip to keep from voicing her pain at the movement, and when he probed the joint with steady fingers, she nearly levitated. For a moment, all she felt was white-hot pain.
"Easy," he soothed, lowering the offending extremity gently to the ground. "There's no sign of a break, at least not that I could feel. I think you'd better get Dr.
He broke off at the sharp bark of a shout from the cliff-top above them. Sophia's eyes flew to his as she recalled the man's voice she'd heard right before she fell. She opened her mouth to tell him when Benedick raised a finger to his lips. Realizing that it might be best if they weren't discovered, she nodded.
"Damn you!" the man cried. "I knew I should have seen to this business myself. You're far too soft to deal with our problem. Can you be relied upon to eliminate our little stumbling block if necessary?"
The other man's voice was too low for them to hear, but it seemed to be placating, because the first man's next words were calmer. Something about their location allowed his utterance to float down to the beach below with amazing clarity.
"See that you do,"
he said, in the tone of a man who has little patience with excuses.
"If this scheme doesn't work out, I will hold you responsible, and I am not kind to those who disappoint me. You've been loyal enough so far. I hope you won't allow yourself to be weakened by your loyalty to people who don't care about you. I am the only one who truly understands you. Only I can help you rise above your circumstances and achieve the success you deserve."
There was something familiar about the man's voice, but Sophia was still too shaken from her fall to concentrate on it. Once again they heard the low mumbling of the second man, then the sound of footsteps shushing over the dead leaves of the little wooded copse indicated that the two men were leaving. Sophia and Lord Benedick were silent for a few minutes more, just to be sure the men were gone. The sound of the sea battering into the shore again and again punctuated their breathing while they waited. The sun, which had been wan when Sophia first came out that morning, had gone behind a cloud, and Sophia shivered a little. "Who was that?" she asked, glancing up at the cliff, almost afraid the two men would climb over. "Even only hearing one side of their conversation, I know it was not about their plans for the village fete."
"I'm not sure," Lord Benedick said, following her gaze upward. "Perhaps it's best if we forget we heard that. It was clearly not intended for public consumption, and the louder man did not sound like the sort of person who would take kindly to having interference in his business."
Sophia turned to him in surprise. "I should have expected that attitude from other men, Lord Benedick, but I should think, as a man of God, your first responsibility is to help people. And clearly someone is in grave danger. We just heard one man tell another that he must be prepared to eliminate someone."
"I am aware of what we heard, Miss Hastings," he said stiffly. "But you are in no condition to look into the matter. We must see to getting you back to Beecham House. Whatever we overheard can wait for that at least, can it not?"
As if the conversation were over, he rose easily to his booted feet and put his fists on his hips. He rather looked like an avenging angel now, Sophia thought sourly, an avenging angel who was urging caution. She knew very well when she was being fobbed off. Still, she was determined. Her own sense of justice insisted. "Very well, Lord Benedick, it can wait. But do not think to dissuade me from learning more about those men. If someone is truly in danger, we must do something to protect them." At her vehemence, something in his gaze softened.
"Very well, Miss Hastings. I will commit to learning more, but for now we must get you to the house."
She nodded, and was about to ask him for a hand up when he bent and gathered her into his arms, lifting her as if she weighed no more than a feather. The jolt to her injured